yeah, boy. Last week was kind of crazy, right? On top of three big celebrity deaths, that'll be Malcolm Jamal Warner, Ozzy Osbourne, and of course the immortal Hulk Hogan. Yeah, San Diego Comic Con took place, right?
Right.
Yeah, so San Diego Comic Con took place. I personally wasn't like taking in every single thing as every piece of news or announcement or trailer as they came out. I was just going to catch up on everything after the fact, right? So I did see when the Peacemaker, the second trailer popped up, amongst a few other trailers which you'll talk about here, right? But I wasn't like following every single thing that was going on, right? I mean, it's just because I had a lot of things going on, life-wise, right? What I will say though, because I know you have a few things you want to mention, I just want to talk about some trailer stuff, right? Um, Mad props though to Chris Stockman though. I mean, he was able to make it to the Comic Con. He was in a specific panel. I think it was with either with indie or horror filmmakers now, because his Shelby Oaks film is going to
Okay.
be released theatrically. I believe it is in October. I think it is. I think it's in October, which is great because in October is when he does his Halloween movie reviews, like just classic and contemporary, I should say, horror films. He will touch on those on October, right? So it's great that he actually make it there. That gives me hope. That gives me inspiration right there, right? But yeah, I will let you kick things off. Well, I know some some Star Trek things took place. I will just
Right.
mention the trailers when you mention them. But yeah, take it away. You can kick things off with the Star Trek stuff, or if you want to mention anything earlier.
We get a couple things off the top of my head. Yeah, the Star Trek stuff, Gen V, and the teaser for The Boys season 5.
Oh, I did not
Well,
see the teaser for that. I only saw the Gen
yeah,
V one. All
right.
right, but yeah, you know what? Let's start off with the Star Trek stuff, right? Let's just
Sure.
stick with some trailer stuff, right? So
Right.
Starfleet Academy, I saw it. Looks really cool. I noticed a few faces. Like I was genuinely surprised to see Paul Giamatti at the end. I was like, oh, okay,
Right. Right.
we going there, right? But I
Right.
know that there's a few familiar faces that I remember from Discovery, but because I'm not a big Trekkie, I don't know them by name, right? So while I'm not entirely excited for this, I do see this as like a nice sort of like spiritual successor to Discovery, right? The idea of newcomers, getting into the Federation, being on in a starship, being involved in activities and whatnot, going on adventures and whatnot, right? So yeah, that looks very promising to me. I'm not sure if it's going to be connected to any other shows, because I'm thinking this is like a spin-off of Discovery, or you could tell me maybe it's not, maybe it's a spin-off of Brave New Worlds. I don't know. And speaking of Brave New Worlds, there was a really like I don't want to say funny, but really entertaining teaser, involving a Muppet. That was really cool. I was like, all right, that's cool, but you'll have to explain to me yeah, the why. Like why is there a Muppet in place of our lead character here? Is this hinting at something involving
Right.
the Henson Company, whatever it is, and Paramount Plus? I don't know. You could tell me, right? But yeah, your thoughts on the Starfleet Academy trailer and this teaser for Brave New Worlds season 4. I should mention that. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So they started the new season for Strange New Worlds. Yeah, I think 3 episodes now. And then I don't know the puppeting. I think the puppeting is just a bit. But then they showed the trailer for Starfleet Academy. So Starfleet Academy is something they've been pitching for a hot minute now. I think since the movies, the first set of movies, that is since William Shatner was now not doing stuff since the 80s actually. I think mid 80s there's pitching a Academy show, and they never really get it off the ground. So it was supposed to be during Kirk time. Well, not Kirk time, but like what we call the Lost Period, which is like Enterprise C-ish era. There's a video game in the 90s that I remember having that I got for Christmas in the late 90s called Starfleet Academy, which is pretty good. So that is what this is. It's just there was an episode of Discovery. It's more spin-off of Discovery. There was an episode of Discovery that kind of lead into this, that operator as a kind of backdoor pilot for the show. And so the one character we see coming back from Discovery is Reno. That is Tig Notaro's character. I didn't notice anybody else, but I presume that Tilly might be there, and maybe get a little, thing from Voyage, from Burnham or something, a little cameo quick from some of the other Discovery people maybe. But then we see, yeah, as I say, Paul Giamatti. Like, okay, I don't know who he is, looking cool. Holly Hunter is in this. All right. Interesting enough, she playing somebody important. Um, and then Robert Picardo is coming back as the Doctor, presumably, but we're not sure what's going on with him. Some people say it might be another version of the Doctor because, like in Voyager, it had copies of the Doctor ever so often. You might see so like one of the best episodes of Voyager, an episode called "Living Witness," has a copy of the Doctor in a planet he got lost in, and is a hypothetical future that happened. Well, we don't. Well, yeah, kind of hypothetical because that was one timeline, and they play it like that, and that was like a great episode. So I don't know. It could be that Doctor coming back because it would be 700 years, and then he leave after that, and we don't sure how much time passed. He looked like he stayed for a couple of centuries or so. We don't know, right? But Robert Picardo coming back, and he's like a fan favorite, so like cool. He's one of the best things in Voyager anyway. So all right, cool. Yeah, it's one of those things. Hot take. I can't in good conscience say I'm super excited about. Like it's a good premise. It show a bunch of like real weird stuff like, oh, there's a female Jem'Hada, if you know what a Jem'Hada is. Alright, cool. But it not really hyping me. And it's one of those I'm gonna say it like Starfleet Academy for me is one of those fetch things, if you know what fetch is, right? Trying to make fetch happen. It's something that it sounds like a cool idea. I want to see where they're gonna go with it. But like the concept might work if you do it right, but a lot of people just kind of dismissing it immediately and calling it Discovery 90210. And like, all right, I mean, I can understand why they might say that because Discovery ultimately was a disappointment for me. Even though I like it for it was.
Okay. I loved it, but I'm not a Trekkie,
Right.
so to each his own.
I think yeah, it is kind of that. Like I hate to like do the gatekeeping thing, but it is designed for people who aren't Trekkies. Like that's kind of the idea. It was to rope in new people. Yeah, but that's the generally J.J. Abrams' approach from since J.J. Abrams' first film. That's kind of the general approach. They cater to the older nerds. If you remember that real funny onion bit, right? Um, yeah, that's how I kind of feel about it. So that's looking okay. I mean, I'll see, if it good, if we cater to it. I think one of the things with Trek is that people really care for younger people. Like it's our reason why a lot of people hate Wesley, for example. No, you want older, more established figures. They know this shit, kind of that kind of stuff now, right? So characters who are at least in their 30s minimum, um, having to make really smart decisions and so on and so forth. But this young people thing is end up just coming across as fake drama now. So a lot of people think we go and get Euphoria, but in space or some bullshit like that. Yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not too worried. I mean, again, if it's good acting and good storytelling, then fine. You know. But we'll find out. I mean, Stranger Worlds I've been enjoying for the most part. Like I do super like Stranger Worlds because I've always said that it's kind of the Orville before the Orville. It's what the Orville was meant to be in that sense. So like whatever. But yeah, this looking okay. I was worried that it wasn't going to get green light because we wasn't getting no news about it. So we finally get some material. All right, fine. And I know it has some drama behind the scenes involving CBS and Skydance and Donald Trump for some reason. Like, it's a whole backstory involving Colbert and CBS fire Colbert apparently, but I'm not sure if that's true. And it's a whole thing. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. So a lot of people think that you might have a boycott Star Trek now because CBS capitulated to Trump. Okay, going to get weird. All these little bullshit things is to start taking into account, other than the quality of the show right nowadays, right? So whatever. But yeah, looking okay. Not super hyped. In good conscience, say super hyped, but not really hating on it just yet. I'll give it a shot. We'll see. Right, first episode is be the big judge, and we'll find out if it's a good show or not. I hope two things. One, they don't focus on a single character. That'd be almost always a mistake with Star Trek. Star Trek need to be an ensemble. You need to at least set up 2 or 3 good characters for me to care about. Right? That is what you have to do. You start with a basic character, then you say, okay, this, and then a second character, then you introduce, and you build from there. Every Star Trek does do that, and is nail it, right? You start with Cisco, yeah, he's the core, but then you say, okay, Kira, she's an important character, then Odo, and so on and so forth. I hope they do that with this. Make it an ensemble, make it like Lower Decks, but in the future, because Lower Decks work in that sense as well. Look at it, Lower Decks have 4 core characters, you create an ensemble, you set that up. And I hope we get that. Like, I hope we get like Lower Decks, but before Lower Decks. And you know, to be funny like Lower Decks, that's not the intention, but you set up a good drama dynamic. And the scenario is interesting now, scenario given what Discovery set up, right? With the whole, this is the first Federation class, well, it's the Starfleet class in 120 years since the burn or whatever it is. So they could play with that drama since the Federation kind of resetting kind of thing now. All right, give it a shot. We'll see.
So you mentioned Gen V before. Yes, I saw the trailer for that. Honestly, I don't remember much from that last season, even though I really enjoyed it. But it was cool seeing McGill, Erin Moriarty as, Starlight there. I don't
Right.
know if she's going to be in this last season of The Boys. She should be, but I was hearing some stuff about she was diagnosed with some condition. I can't remember what it is right now, but I don't know if that's gonna affect her presence, right? In this final season, because I mean, it's the final season, right? But yeah, I mean, from what I saw here with this new season, with this upcoming season, Gen V looks very promising. Very bloody, over the top. They threw in this random dance number just because I don't know why. I don't know if that's meant to sort of poke fun at stuff like High School Musical, like if that's supposed to be like a parody of that. I don't know. Like it's sort of like a dark. Like a moment of dark humor. I don't know, something very left field. I'm not sure, right? But yeah, what I'm seeing here looks really, really, really solid though. It's cool seeing my boy Noir in this. I was like, hey, I thought you were dead, but I guess this upcoming season will explain that, right? But while I'm not like overly excited to see it though, I mean I enjoyed the last season and I really want to see how the story is gonna progress from here. So I think it's September 17th. I think that's when we get the well, I don't know at the moment if it's like if it's gonna be like just one episode or like last time where it's 3 episodes that drop on the same day. So I will have to do some research and see what's going on there, right? But yeah, your
Right.
your, your quick thoughts on this trailer here for Gen V season 2.
Right, yeah. Well, I see they're focusing on like they probably rehold some of the storytelling because of Chance Perdomo's passing. Because his dad, well, I forget the actor's name. What's his name from Save the Last Dance or Othello? Remember him? Well, maybe he had the same power set as Chance, so they might focus on him. So he will be part of that narrative. I think a little stronger. Well, looking okay. I mean, it's a great ending off of the both seasons from the boys and things. So everybody, all the good guys on the run. Homelander full control now, and I want to see what they're going to do with that. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they're going with this. They're showing a bunch of like interesting stuff with the power sets and who doing what and why, and rebellion and other so on. So it looking okay. It looks solid enough opening trailer.
Right, right, right. So let's touch on DC for a little bit, right? I think it is for many people, the big highlight, or at least one of the big highlights, was the second, or I should say the official trailer, if you will, the second official trailer for Peacemaker, right? Just to get the gripes out of the way, wasn't too big on how it was edited. Like I just felt like it was a little too rudimentary now, just the way how it was put together. Some of the jokes didn't land at all. That last bit that play in the end, I was like, oof, like I know I should laugh at it, but it just didn't hit. It didn't work with me at all, right? I guess maybe if I watch the show itself, like see the episode play out, then I could be like, oh, okay, I get what's going on here, right? But for what they were showing there, this opens up really something really interesting and fascinating with this new season, right? Yeah, the idea of dimensions, right? Well, basically like a multiverse, if you will, right? And our hero, Peacemaker, meeting another version of himself, a happier version of himself. He's actually loved it he's actually in love there. And it seems like things are going very great in that world, right? But we know, well, it's a question of how long that's gonna last, because now we have Rick Flag Sr., who was reintroduced now into the DC universe through through the Superman movie, which just came out, right? But yeah, outside of the very kind of flat editing, as I'll say it, just very by the numbers kind of editing. I was entertained by this. It's very promising, as I'll say. It's very like, oh my god, I really really want to see what happens next, and I can't wait until this season drops. But again, just like Gen V, I don't know if we're gonna get 3 episodes first, so if you're gonna just get one, I don't know what's gonna happen, right? But I guess you'll see when the show actually comes out, right? Yeah, Ricardo, any thoughts on this new Peacemaker trailer?
Yeah, Peacemaker looking interesting enough. As I say, yeah, it's a kind of boring edit. And I think the point of this is just to sort out the whole, well, is it connected to the DCU or not kind of joke kind of thing? Because like Summer Peacemaker was gone, but some of it was connected to the DCU, and I'm not sure what they're doing with that or if what they're going with. To me, the simplest answer to all of this is that, well, Flash, that is why. Flash is the simplest answer. He went and changed the universe, and that is what the universe is. So, we don't know if Jason Momoa is still Aquaman or not. Maybe, maybe not. And I don't know where they're going with all of that. Maybe. I will find out. Yeah, the new beats is in terms of the whole Peacemaker, perfect world thing looking funny enough. I can't just say I'm super surprised or hyped over this, but it is looking okay. It's looking fine. Season 1 was great. I want to see what they're going to do with it. They're going to set up a big like moral, the big moral concept of replacing your counter self, and that is an interesting like ethical argument you could probably make up. Especially pizza because life kind of sucks, especially his dad dies and all that stuff. So why would you want to live in our world? You could live in another world. They could do all of that, right? They could make some interesting beats on it. But as I say, not that great as I edit it kind of boring and not that engaging. So yeah, that's about it.
All right, so it's been a lot. It's been long overdue, guys. But yes, let me just do a quick review of Squid Game season 3. I know this came out a while back, like a month or so ago. But life literally got in the way, and I was not able to talk about it during the time when I was doing that Reign of the Superman special, right? The Superman special, right? So yes, here we are. Just gonna do a quick review of Squid Game season 3, right? So yeah, basically, it's a follow up, a literal continuation from the last season where everything stopped off of, where everything stopped off as, sorry. Right, so, ji-hun is pretty much, he's defeated at this point in time, right? Because from the last season, he basically attempted to sort of take down, the people who were running the island
Right.
and the whole Squid Games, all that kind of stuff in general. But he failed, right? Some balls were dropped, means metaphorical balls were dropped, and there were a lot of casualties, and he was captured, but then he was basically let back. He was basically sent back now to continue on playing, right? And of course, as you would expect, the other survivors sort of look at all. They're like, look at you. You try to. You thought you was gonna succeed, boy. Then kind of talking down to him, right? But yeah, eventually, we just basically see him and the rest of characters go through another series of games. But there's a specific player that Ji-hun meets by the name of 222. Remember, they still go in my numbers, right? That pretty much
Right.
changes his life and kind of affects how the story plays out from there. And I'll stop there, right? Because I still want to keep things spoiler free, even though I know a majority of the spoilers are already out and you could go and find out what went on, especially if you don't care to see, right? So I will start off by saying that I thought that this was a fitting conclusion to the series here. I am glad that they kept it at 3 seasons and they didn't stretch it any further, right? Because if you remember,
Right.
2021 was when the first season came out, and then late 2024 was when you got the second season. I called it back then. I was like, the way how that season ended, yeah, they should just do one more season, just wrap it up, right? And so said, so then they actually did it. I thought that they ended off very, very well in my opinion, right? I was aware of people's reception of it, right? I knew that it was getting a mixed reception, right? And without spoiling anything, it has to do with that character of 222, right?
Right.
Because one thing that I really admire about this season here, right, is just how unapologetically bleak it is, though. Like one thing I always love about the show is that it just really put a lens on just the darkness of humanity, right? I mean, there's nothing new when it comes to dystopian just dystopian fiction, right? But in this case, though, we just especially picking up from the success of Parasite, right, which is one of my favorite movies of the past decade, right? Just looking at it from a socio-economic kind of mix, right? In terms of just the gist of Squid Game, right? In a nutshell, is just, all right, I am in this weird position where I have to play in this game once I get killed, right? But the people around me, if they die, I'm making more money off of them because the money that they would have made by succeeding, it goes to me or it goes to the other survivors. So I just need to stick out. I just need to stick it out just a little bit more. And if I manage to come out of it alive, I get all the money and I could just live the rest of my life, wealthy, right? Like that. And that's the mindset that they really explore here in this final season. The idea of, hey, we should, in all fairness, get rid of this character because while see without spoiling anything, this character literally can't do anything. Like literally cannot fend for itself. That's all I'll say, right?
Right.
But at the same
And
time, it's
I
like,
know, yeah, I had
well,
this
right. Well,
point
you
from
know
one
what,
point.
you're right. You know what I talk about, right? But at the same time, it's like,
Right.
but dog, like, you serious though? Like you seriously saying we should kill this character though? And people in this show are both faced with it and saying, yes, yes, let's do that. I know right off the gate. When I saw these moments happen, I was like, "Oh, that's why people didn't like this season so much." It just
Right.
rubbed them off the raw way. And for me, I applaud the show for just saying, "Yeah, we go in there. We're gonna take this really extreme, this really like twisted logic of ours, and we're gonna put it. We gotta carry it to the extreme, the most extreme level that we could come up with, right? The idea of, hey, we could spare this person life, and die, or we could just sacrifice this person now and somehow make it, right? But yeah, I thought that just going into that level though was kind of brilliant in my opinion. It was real ballsy
Right.
actually, even my Squid Game standards, right? But yes, I applaud the show for just staring into the abyss and just saying, look, I am going to see how far this thing goes, right? But yeah, this is unapologetically bleak. It is dark. There's a lot of gut punches to do. I mean, like just from the beginning, right? Don't ever like think about going to this show casually. Expect to get your heart broken. Expect to get punches in the gut a lot, right? And they do that a lot here in this season, right? But that's in terms of just the conceit of it all and how they just ended off certain character arcs or whatnot. I thought they did a really fantastic job at it, right? And I will say just without spoiling anything, that final moment though is kind of brilliant as well too. All I will say, it alludes to the
Right.
idea of a potential remake of this show. I hope we don't get it,
Right.
but
Right.
there's a
I know.
possibility that we could get an American
Yeah. I know.
remake
I
of it
know.
in the near future.
Right. I saw this highlighted, and I was like, okay, they connected to this person. It's a famous
Yeah,
actress as
it's
well.
a
So that
famous
was nice to
actress
know.
who's there, right? But it's
Right.
so ironic, huh? But it adds to the dark humor of the show. But yeah, the show is kind of darkly funny as well, But it's a very very pitch black kind of humor to it as well, right? The performances great as well. The music always stands out as well. Very quirky, very weird. Very emotional when it needs to be. The games though, especially the set pieces though, I don't know how they get away with these things though, and I always love just from the beginning, right? How it's like these normal children's games, right? These kids games you play in a playground, whatever it is, right? Some of them are authentic to South Korean culture. Others are
Right.
stuff that we know universally, right? But
Yeah.
just
You're right.
how
Yeah.
they convey it in these really graphic, over the top kind of ways. It's kind of brilliant, though. It's really really brilliant,
Right.
right? And one thing I just always loved about this series here, and they do it so well in the season. And I know this could be something for you though, especially if you can do you had an issue with this with the first season where you just think like, oh, why this character made that why that character do that for? No, you should have do this. No, like why people are stupid. Like you would think that they're doing that to move the story along, but like no, I don't think it's like that, right? I think it's just some people just would not know what to do in that situation, right? But here, because of all the shit they went through, it's like here's what like really need to put our heads together, right? But I love how the show always plays they always do something very unpredictable, something that kind of catches you off guard, right? So even when you're thinking, oh, this character gonna make it, all she have to do is just go here or hide here or do this or wait here. Though sometimes the show will just twist that around and then something happens like, oh shit. So it always keeps you on the edge of your toes, right? Especially with Ji-hun and what he's going through, especially with that player 222, right? And what he has to deal with as well too, it works as well, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, I absolutely enjoy the season here, and as a whole, I kind of flat out love this show, right? From the jump, it was never going to be for everyone, right? It is definitely not for the faint of heart, right? It's just funny that it came out in 2021 when we were still in the midst of the of COVID and lockdowns or whatnot. So yeah, this show just sort of pop up. It's like Squid Game. What the hell is Squid Game? South Korean show, okay? And you watch it, right? And there's the moment that you see that doll and the whole thing with the watching the characters if
Red,
they stop and they
right.
get shot.
Yeah. Red
Yeah.
light. What is chocolate English? Red light, green
Gosh,
light.
yeah, it's kind of
Red
the
light.
equivalent of a red light, green light kind of game, right? But yeah, like
Right.
the moment people saw that, it's like, oh shit, what is this? And that's
Right.
in the series premiere. So that to me, that roped me in, that roped a lot of people in,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it was like the show. It was the show of 2021 for better or for worse, right? But yeah, I just love the fact that they continued on. They did not overstay its welcome, because it's only so far. Honestly, the story could have gone anyway, right? And I felt like where it stops off is very, very logical, very appropriate, very fitting, as I said before, right? And like I say, with the ending, it teases the possibility of a spin-off, of a sequel, sorry, or an American remake, if you will, right? Even though, as we've seen even though it's from your boy Spike Lee, Old Boy, a remake of one of the greatest South
Yeah.
Korean films of all time. Yeah, American remakes of, Asian shows and movies. I don't know. I
Right.
don't know. And
Right.
God
I mean,
forbid, if they
yeah,
try to adapt it as a
every
movie. Like if they want to do
every
it as a
look,
sorry, one second. Like if they want to do it as a movie, real Hunger Games style trilogy and shit, it's like I don't know.
listen. If you get for every old boy, we have an infernal affairs, right? So it's fine. Like it's not all
Yeah, yeah,
bad.
yeah. You're right. You're right. You're right. Yeah. If it
Not all
wasn't for
bad.
Infernal
Not all bad,
Affairs, you
right?
would not have The Departed. I mean,
Right.
I mean, a goated show in my opinion, right? But yeah, you're
Exactly.
absolutely right, right? So yeah,
Both versions.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
Both versions are fantastic in my opinion, right? So yes,
Exactly.
even though this season, and I was all right, I'll put it like this as a wrap up here, right? Even for seasoned fans of the show, this season is a very challenging one in terms of
Right.
how it questions, yeah, just mankind's morality, though, especially when you're put in situations like this, right? And yeah, again, just showing just how dark, the human soul is, right? Again, it's not new, right?
Right.
But how they explore it here, right, is very, very fascinating to me, especially from the socio-economic lens that this show always leaned on from the beginning, right? So I absolutely love what they did here, right? But at the same time, it's not gonna be for everybody. It's not gonna be for the faint of heart. It is. It will turn your stomach. It will punch you in the gut numerous times, though. It will really have you question, boy, what is up with these people? You're like, why, Jared, But at the same time, it's like, yes, despite the fact you might hate a person's decision or a thought process, you still want to see how the story is going to play out, right? I thought the way how it
Right.
played out and ended, I thought was fantastic in my opinion, right? So yeah, no surprise, this is one of the best seasons of a show that I've seen all year. So for that, I'm gonna give this a strong 4 to a very light 4.5 out of 5. And as far as just the show as a whole, I'm gonna give this a lighter, decent 4.5 out of 5. This is one of the best shows to come out of Netflix, one of the best South Korean shows I've seen, I think, ever, because I am honestly not familiar with a lot of South Korean shows at all. Like I know movies, I know a lot of South Korean movies, but not TV shows. I think like this is the first one that really roped me in, right? Just off the concept alone, the characters
Right.
and just how they explore. This the idea of putting you in their shoes, right? Putting you in their shoes, and you now asking yourself, hey, well, if I was in this situation, what would I do? How could I cheat my way or figure out the logic of this game and win and survive and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's very, very well done. Just as far as a psychological thriller goes, this is one of the best TV shows in that medium that I've ever seen, in my opinion, right? But again, not for the faint of heart. And in terms of just exploring the dark side of humanity, yeah, boy, it's not going to be for everyone. But in terms of just that alone, just being able to explore that in a very clever and intelligent way, yeah, this show absolutely nails that. I absolutely love this show. So, Ricardo, I don't know if you'll get a chance to watch. I don't know if you saw the second season since I talked about it last year, but I really recommend that you check out those, and in particular rewatching the first season, because you kind of have to do so to really appreciate, especially with how the third season ends. Yeah, to really appreciate it, you had to see it from the very beginning. So I,
Right.
I strongly recommend that you rewatch. Well, I mean, technically just watch the whole series out, and then hopefully by years, and you can come and say, yeah, Squid Game, love it, I love it. Or you could come and say, nah, but nah, man, logically that's kind of shipping that a
Right.
character that's
Right.
supposed to do that, blah blah blah. So I would love to hear your thoughts come years end, right? But yeah, in the meantime, folks, yeah, Squid Game season 3 is a real deal. Definitely check it out. So
Yeah.
before I shut up here, Ricardo, you will talk about season 2 of Poker Face. Unfortunately, I did not get the chance to watch the rest of this season out because I only watched the first 3 episodes, which I absolutely enjoyed, right? So, and you touched on those episodes before, but I only got the chance to watch those 3. I didn't get the time to check out the other 9, right? So, yeah, Ricardo, take it away. You can talk about the other 9. But that's the gist of the rest of the season now. What you thought about it, and how you rank, or well, sorry, what you rate this particular season.
Right. Yeah. So this time she around they have her moving around and mostly focus. They get her into New York City and focus on a lot of that. And I really enjoyed it for what it is. So yeah, it still does the Columbo thing, sets up a conceit, show you the crime, and then the idea is to how the villain is going down or how the villain is going to be um be caught, or how Natasha Lyonne's character makes hay of the whole situation and makes it work. Yeah, I I thoroughly dug this season as well. In fact, I actually like the season 1 and 1. What they do with it is great. What they set up is much like with, as I said, with season 1, Cynthia Erivo, she's a great opener. They either have her play multiple versions of herself. That's great good stuff. The other one, Giancarlo with the funeral home, that's pretty good too. And they just set up all these nice little fun little scenarios. They make it work. You're right. So from after the first two with the Gator guy, it had I forget his name, Camille Nanjiani. He played a Gator guy, and he's keep winning the best police officer in Florida, and the girl kill him. This was
Okay.
one of the weaker episodes.
Oh, okay.
This was one
Okay.
of the weaker episodes. Yeah, but I had fun with that. But it was one of the weaker episodes. But then you had an episode called Hometown Hero. This was pretty good with this guy who he shoot this ball that he can shoot in terms of pitching baseball. He pitches real fast baseball back in the days and he can't replicate it. And then he replicates it, but under these circumstances of murdering someone, and they explain how and why and what was going on with that. And that was great. Then you had Sloppy Joseph. This was pretty good too with Margot Martindale. She was in this. That was a really good one. One Last Job is pretty good with the this one is the one with a guy who's like a con artist, and they do something really clever with con artistry. Probably one of my favorite episodes. The one with Method Man. That one with Method Man. Pretty good.
Oh, nice
He's
one.
like a
Well,
gym.
now I want to see
Yeah,
that. Now I want to see
yeah,
that.
yeah. He's a gym owner, and he had to cover up some shenanigans involving. I don't want to spoil it because it's kind of funny but gross at the same time.
Oh,
Um,
what's so funny about that, now that you tell me about that, is that, yeah, I mean, Method Man, for those who don't know, actually owns a gym. Like, he not just
right, right,
acting
right.
in
God, no, right.
in the Power
I
spin-off, but the man owns a gym. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I just listened to his. He did a interview with this comedian. Oh gosh, he used to have a show. Hassan Minaj, right? So he had
Oh, okay,
a
okay.
with Hassan. Yeah, he did an interview with Hassan Minaj, and he talked about the gym thing. That like, oh shit, that like just like the bit in the show in Poker Face. Yeah, and then there's a good episode to the one where alright, so eventually she gets to like she's talking to someone on the radio, and you only find out who that is later. But she gets to like a smaller apartment, and you have a handful of episodes in and around the apartment. So that gym episode is about that. So you have the episode The New Lease on Life, well, The New Lease on Death, which is Aquafina Alia Shortcut. That is a great episode. That was really really fun, involving an apartment and shenanigans over an apartment. Then again the Big Pump, that's the one with Method Man, that's pretty good. Day of the Iguana is okay. This one is a really clever episode involving a guy with Justin Theroux, and involving like an assassin kind of, but he's like a specialized guy, specialized to replace somebody. And what he does at the beginning of the episode is gross, but real cool and weird spy shit involving a body bag. And then this continues into the finale. And yeah, this was this really strong season. I actually like it a lot more than one. This one was just funny, a little repetitive. Like I'll say, the Big Pump and Hometown Hero felt a little too similar to each other. Sloppy Joseph was okay too. Probably the best episode is the one involving the girl at the school. That episode just real wild and funny. Is this little girl who's a total psychopath, and they make reference to her later, involving that whole thing. But yeah, I thought that's probably my favorite episode. So that's a really funny one. But yeah, I thought it was pretty good. Like it just had some decent episodes. Had episodes involving like the one with the TV's place, that one with Corey Hawkins, and him being like a movie person and involving a script. So they do a lot of like meta show business stuff in this. Like, oh, it's referencing show business, and it got everything involving. Almost every episode involves either some TV star, a movie set, something like that involving show business in some way. And it's a surprise to do a lot of that. But yeah, I dug the hell out of this. Really, really good. Some of my favorite television for the year. Yeah, I just have fun watching it. It's just, and mostly because yeah, Natasha Leo is just a great central character. She's genuinely funny and charming. They make it work. The writing is it almost every episode have a typical like nitpick problem as how with the writing. But yeah, it is not a big deal. And it's like, oh, why does it didn't do this instead of this, and so on and so forth. But it's fine. And
If you don't mind me interjecting, right? There are, especially like with that episode with Cynthia Erivo, right? There are certain moments where the person try to get away, but they just always drop the ball and do something incredibly stupid. They're like, why would you
right,
do that? If you did the crime, you
right,
should cover it up a lot better. Like, I know you're not some
right.
master criminal, but like, why would you do something like that? Of course, Charlie
There is
would
one
notice
episode.
you, right?
No, yeah. There's one episode. The episode I find it was a little egregious in one episode. I see one with the guy who's the con man. This is this fella from Star Trek. This is his name, who's played the new Suluna. John Cho. He plays a con man, and the whole thing is that him being a con man about con man, and his idea is that he's hunt down other con men. So what he just deliberately go after people who he think are con men to con
Uh,
them. and it's the whole thing. But what
Kind
they
of a
find out,
con man version of Dexter then. Dexter
right,
Morgan.
yeah,
Okay.
basically, he's a con man Dexter. But what ended up happening is he ended up getting an innocent person. They play with that, right? And I felt when you think about what happened in it, one of the characters have to be a complete moron for that story to make any sense. Like, sorry, the character a little too dotish for my liking. You'll see it when they say it, you'll see it, right? That's all you'll know. It's a John episode, and it's like, what? Why would this character do that? It's so dotish. But that's the only one that was like really egregious in that sense. But everything else was like, it's a minor nitpick. I felt they could have just have it make a little more sense. Like, okay, like one with Cynthia Erivo. My only nitpick with that one was the last sister didn't know about the other sisters because it's a TV show. That's my only issue. Like, should she not know about her other sisters? How did she not know? It's a popular TV show. Like, she should have known. Whatever. Stuff like
Yeah,
that. It's fine.
good point though. Yeah.
Yeah. It's little stuff like that. It's like, all right, okay, whatever. It's not a big deal. It don't break the story or anything like that. But it's like, that could have been a thing to address the story. But whatever, it's not a big deal. But yeah, that's about it. I just thought, well, why it is that this couldn't happen or that couldn't happen? And I think again, all these little things because they just give you clues as to it could possibly be a thing, and then they don't show it, so you think it's a resolution in some way, shape, or form, and then they don't pay it off. It's like, oh well, that should have been a resolution, but it is nothing. Again, almost every episode have this problem. Not a big deal. It's fine. But yeah, that's about it. I dug the hell out of this. Just again, it's mostly because of how charming and well done, and everybody just comes together and really works. And they make a great, just a really funny and engaging murder mystery, and that's why it works. Yeah, they did the last two episodes, especially. I think it's Ty West directed it. And then Natasha Lyonne directed the final one, and I thought that was great. And yeah, once you use Natasha Lyonne properly, it really works because we're gonna get somebody not using Natasha Lyonne properly. That's all I'll say.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
all I'll say.
But that's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about it. I enjoy this. I recommend it. It's more likely going to make my top 10 for the year. Just well made, funny, entertaining television. I can't go wrong with that.
Right. Well, what would you rate this season, man?
Yeah, good score, like a good 8 out of 10. Just solid stuff. Other than the occasional nitpicks, and yeah, I don't really have a major issue with it. In fact, closer to a 9 when I'm more think about it. Just again, every episode is entertaining. The only issues is some of the plotting clumsy here or there, and then a couple episodes felt repetitive. Like it's like, oh, this is just like this other episode, and it don't really seem to have any major change other than the setting. It's the same beats, and it plays the same way. So that's about it. But that's not a big deal. It's fine.